I actually wanted to ask. So I was talking to a friend. Who was it? But basically, that there's like a not a rift in the gay community, but there's like kind of cliques. Like it seems like white gay men tend to be pretty racist, and I
Yeah.
know.
Oh yeah. Well, yes, but I
Yeah.
didn't know if that was it.
Yeah. Oh, well, yo, mic's on. You're good. We're
Oh,
good.
are we recording?
Yeah, it just
Oh.
happens.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, I thought I was like yes. I was like okay.
Yeah.
But,
And is that a thing? Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it tends to be. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, because I feel like a lot of like white gay men forget that like they think that like being gay is like the worst oppression, so they're like, oh, I understand how it feels to like be oppressed and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I feel like it comes off what is the word, like unaware and stuff, and so you're still like a white man at the end of the day, so like you still have like privilege. And then I guess just like as well, like I feel like when someone talks about gay and they're not gay, the immediate thing they go to is like white feminine guy. So they like equate you to that, and if you're not really that, like me being like black and like I'm like somewhat feminine, they're like, I don't really know what to do with you,
Yeah.
or stuff like that. So, but like in the gay community, yes, they're very racist for the most part.
That's so.
Which is why like I'm excited. Okay, well this is okay. So like I made this. Okay,
Yeah,
no.
let's get in it. Let's get in it.
No, because like this actually brought up a good point, because like I have a TikTok, just made it like 2 weeks ago. I posted a clip from me from the Laugh Factory that like went very viral, and it was about like I have this joke where I've said it multiple times where it's like, if you can't tell by my voice, I do date men who are white, yada yada yada. And so like everybody loved it, blah 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 blah. But then like recently there have been people that have been like giving me flack about it, talking about like this is the problem with the gay community. I can't stand whitewashed black gays and stuff like that, and yada yada yada. And I like two people like used my video and like stitched this together, and they were like kind of condemning me for it. And I was like, first of all, a few things. First of all, it was a joke. It was a 30-minute clip from an 8-minute set, so out of context, they don't understand it. Second of all, I don't know where everyone was saying like only white men when I literally have only dated one. All of my exes have looked like the fucking inside of a Ritz cracker box, just like full of color. And so I'm just like, I don't understand why that was the case. And then like, yeah. And so then that third thing was like, the problem is the white gays themselves. Why are you condemning me for liking them? Okay, I don't believe anyone that doesn't find white people attractive. They're everywhere. Yeah. And also they're just like the standard of like everything. Like America is like there's full of white people, so you can't say like I don't like white people. You can say like personally like I don't really care for them because of privilege and all that other shit, but like I was like a little annoyed by that, because white gays do tend to be the problem. So why are you so that was like that really like, because I was like really irritated by that last week and stuff like that, especially when it was just taken out of context and I was annoyed. And I've also been like a proponent of like fighting for like equality with like comedy and making my voice known as like, you don't just have to be like white and pretty to do well in entertainment. So and that doesn't have to be, that's not even like a sexuality thing. It's like you could be like gay, bi, straight, whoever, but like you can just be yourself. And so I was a little offended by that.
Yeah, that's
sorry. What was your
question? No, this is perfect. My podcast is sloppy. But I guess I find it interesting. Okay. I'll break this up in a few points. The first part about dating white men. So you get shit for that, or dating a white man?
Yes.
Because I get shit for having dated white women.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, motherfuckers hate it. They hate that shit.
I guess it's like, yeah.
It's well, like, okay. For me, now that I'm away from where I'm from, like I'm around more black women and I can enjoy, like I love being around black women and black people. But like you were saying, it's like we grew up in a standard, and it's impossible to deny that standard of beauty has been taught to us.
Right.
And so I guess it gets frustrating when I'm like, can you stop telling me where to put my penis?
Yeah.
Just let me put my penis wherever I want to put my penis. I don't know if that.
Yeah. No. Or I can just decide what penis goes and where on me too. Like, it's just like, I don't know. It's annoying.
It reminds me of when we first met. That was at the Laugh Factory. Was
yes,
that okay?
The open mic. Yes.
That was.
Were you defending my honor? I'll never forget.
That was. I'm curious. So for context to all the listeners, I don't know who listens. About 15 people, I think. Listen.
Okay, well, hey.
So I can tell you my perspective. I don't think I heard your perspective of it, but when we were doing the open mic at the Laugh Factory, and you were doing your set, you were being funny, and I was watching in the corner. There's this group of black people, and this irks me to no end. I don't like it when black people are homophobic, and we have a real issue. Like, we have a real issue with that shit.
They do.
And so I spent my half of my 3 minutes just being like, y'all, it was funny.
Legit, yeah. And I didn't even, to be honest, I didn't even notice them not. You know, I feel like it's that common thing of like, pay attention to people that are loving you and not the ones that are hating you. So I honestly did not see this like group of niggas just like stone cold, arms crossed, upset. Honestly, until you called them out, and I was like, oh, I was like, I didn't even notice.
So when I was up, did you see me when I was up there, or did you hear about it afterwards?
I saw you when you were up there. Like, I saw it. Like, I walked off stage. I could hear your set because I immediately went right upstairs, and then like by the time I got to the top balcony, that's when you were like really like in like the middle of the ranting at them, and I was just like at the top, just like, oh my god.
That's I don't know. It's something that bothers me, and I don't understand. Do you know the history behind that? Why the fuck our community so goddamn homophobic?
I mean, history. No, I don't know. I feel like there's. I feel like I come across very smart, but I'm very stupid. So like I know like. I don't know the history behind it. Maybe just like I feel like there's just like generations of like internalized homophobia, and also I feel like toxic masculinity is like a factor into it as to why like black people specifically tend to be the most homophobic. I think there's also like an aspect of like spirituality in it, whereas like
like Christianity,
like Christianity and like the Southern Baptist Church, which is like also what my mother subscribed to. I feel like there's just like a lot of that, whereas I feel like in like white household, I feel like any of color, I feel like there's been a lot of like ancestral spiritual reckoning against homosexuality, whereas like in white households, I feel like Catholicism is a lot more like free spirited. And I mean this is like, I feel like everyone has talked about this. I mean, how are they gonna talk about homosexuality when like grown men are touching children? Oh, like that's not even like a joke. That's just like, I mean, everyone said that at this point, so it's nothing original. So I think there is also like that aspect of it. It's like, you know, and so I don't know why.
This is I'm pivoting hardcore here, but where did you grow up?
So I'm from like the DMV, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. I was born in Southeast DC, and then I lived there till I was 6, and then I moved to Prince George's County, Maryland, which is like a southern part of Maryland that's close to DC. And then that's where I grew up, and then college in Virginia, went back to DC, and now I'm here.
You just not happy about that at all?
No. I mean, well, because like it's weird because like when you say you're from like because like that's why I say I'm from the DMV. But then when I got to Chicago, everyone was like, "You from the DMV? Like the Department of Motor Vehicles? What the fuck is that?" And I'm like, "No, that's what you call it if you're like in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. It's
like a thing.
It's like a thing. Yeah. If you're like in like DC, Maryland, Virginia, you just say like, "Oh, I'm from the DMV." They're like, "Oh, I live in the DMV." And so yeah, I'm from DC technically.
And did you start comedy out there? How was their scene?
It was small. You know, it was like I loved it. Because it was easy to like meet everyone because you saw the same people out like realistically. I thought there was like before COVID, because I went back in December, and I feel like before COVID it was like really popping. There were a lot of good clubs and stuff. But the scene was like very small. I feel like here in Chicago you can do multiple shows a night, multiple mics a night and stuff like that. In DC, you were lucky if you could get 2, and if you hit 2 mics a night, like, and you could only do it either Friday or Saturday. And if you did that, like, you were popping. You were like, oh my God, Mr. Big Shot. It was nice. I mean, it kind of was like a little bit of like a boys club, and I don't say that as like to say like, oh, like guys run comedy, but like that was literally the case. Like there was like this organization, I'm not gonna name them, but it was literally like a bunch of dudes, white dudes, that just like ran a lot of the shows, and if they liked you, you would get stage time. If they didn't, try again. Like it was very that, and like it was like a lot. I felt like there was like a lot of like ass kissing a lot of times, and then like there was like one guy specific, again, not naming names, but he, to this day tells the same. He says like the same 5 minutes, and I saw him when I went back to DC in December, and he's still telling those jokes, and they're not that great. No punch ups, no additions, no nothing, but he is the one that is and supposedly in charge of the DC comedy scene. So
he hit this ceiling, and now he's like the god of his little bubble. That's a crazy. It's a funny trap you can fall into. That was kind of where I felt when I was where I was from. I hit this point where I was like, oh, okay, I'm one of the main guys here, but I could feel like
you're from California, right?
Yeah. I was in Riverside, not in LA.
Okay.
And I could feel like the ceiling that I hit, that I wasn't gonna be able to get better in the same place, and I felt like a big fish in a small pond. And I came out here, and I was like, yep, there are way better comics out here, like fucking killers out here. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's how I felt too in like the DC area, the DC Maryland area. I kind of like had done everything I felt like I needed to do there, and I was like, okay, well, I'm doing the same thing, seeing the same people. I didn't really like it there in DC or Maryland anyway. So
what did you not like about it?
Oh God, how long is this podcast up? Oh my God,
I love complaining.
It was just like I like your tattoo, by the way.
Oh, thanks, man.
I want to get like a band, probably like around my like mid calf or something.
Why the band?
Well, because I had one on my arm, so I wanted to match my leg too.
Nice.
And I also like the band of just like, I don't know, I feel like I'm like a not like, I believe in like fate, and so like everything happens for a reason, which is why I like a band, like everything happens for a reason, circular reasoning and all that stuff.
Dude, how many tattoos do you have?
I have 4.
Can I see?
I'm gonna get naked. Hold on.
All right, so right now he's taking off his clothes consensually. No, I'm playing.
Okay.
Okay.
So they're all in my arms. So I have this band, black and burgundy. They're my favorite colors. And so black stands for like strength, and burgundy stands for wealth and royalty, all things I hope to have in my lifetime.
Of course.
So I did the little band on my arm. I have the word laugh. I actually got this before I started doing comedy, so it has nothing to do with like being a comedian. I just like believe like laughter is the best medicine.
Yeah.
I got this symbol on my arm. It's like the West African symbol for strength and perseverance, and a lot of my ancestors are from West Africa. And then I got, this is my newest one. I have this like geometric heart.
That looks good, man.
Also, I got this. It was like, I just wanted like a heart, and I also just didn't, but I didn't want it to be like a normal heart. But I didn't realize until after the tattoo was finished, the guy was like, you got this because it was like a pun on like you wear your heart in your sleeve, right? And I was like, I didn't, but I'm gonna steal that. He was like it's kind of a pun because you have your heart in your sleeve, and I was like, I'm gonna take that. Nobody knows you. I'm the comic, so I'm gonna steal that. And he was like, yeah, and but now I love it even more now because it literally is like it's like a pun.
Yeah, the happy accidents of tattoos. Let's see. Okay, we'll do tattoos then. My first tattoo was on the bottom of my foot. I got Andy on the bottom of my foot.
Oh, like Toy Story.
Yeah. You sounded disgusted with me. Oh, like Toy Story.
Why the bottom of your foot?
Because it was literally what happened on Woody's foot, and it was like my. I was afraid of committing. I was like, if I'm gonna get a tattoo, I want my first tattoo to be in such a way where like nobody. There really is no consequence to it.
Okay.
And it's literally gone pretty much. You look.
Well, I know. Okay, I know. Okay, I have a hard time. I know. I can't hide anything. No, it's just. I guess I'm just curious. Like it's not even really judgy. It's just like I'm just curious. I'm like I've never heard anyone getting like a tattoo on the bottom of their foot. So I was just like, really?
It was
like in terms of tattoos being hidden, the best place to hide it because literally no one will see it.
Yeah. Well, I did that, and it was painful.
I can imagine also that like I would feel like I wouldn't be able to sit still.
It was hard. I was a deaf woman. She did it I was a sign language interpreter.
You told me.
Yeah. So met this deaf woman, tattoo artist. We were in a living room, and she just tattooed my foot, and it was awful. I could, when you're like, hey, stop for a second. She couldn't hear me, so she would just keep go. Oh fuck, it's giving me anxiety thinking about it. And then I got this one right here. This is FN 2187. There's a longer story behind it. Do you Star Wars at all?
Oh God, no.
Okay,
No.
that's fine.
I know nothing about them. I still haven't. I just watched Harry Potter like last year.
Oh, you're not like a fantasy. No,
No, I'm still trying to grasp reality. So I can't get into the fantasies and stuff
fair.
like that. So
this isn't about Star Wars as much as it is like a black thing. And the short version of it is growing up, you know this, didn't see a lot of representation. And then when the Force Awakens came out, do you remember that one? You don't know anything about this.
I mean,
God damn.
Luke, I am your father.
Luke, I am your father.
Like, that's it.
Okay.
I don't know. They never. I mean, my brother was the opposite. Like he watches like he's like an anime nerd, Dragon Ball Z, Star Wars, Star Trek, all that shit.
Well, black people weren't in a lot of those movies.
Correct.
And this guy ended up being.
Oh yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
John Boyega.
John Boyega's the shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, have you seen Attack the Block?
No.
I'll
What
tell
is
you.
that?
It's so he's British. I don't know if you knew that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've seen him in interviews. He's very. I mean, definitely. See this. Yes, he's very attractive. That's all I'm gonna say.
This is the black man of your dreams. John
Yes,
Boyega?
honestly. Yes, like he seems so cool, and like his British accent, and he's just very attractive. to me.
I love John Boyega.
So,
I wish he was my older brother. I think I might be older than him actually, which is disappointing to me.
Well, I don't know. I don't know anything about him, so I just think he has a really deep voice.
I got so many questions. Okay, but so he was in that movie and he was in the trailer and people lost. They were like, you can't have niggers in Star Wars and the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched the movie. I didn't give a fuck about Star Wars either, but I watched the movie and it was the first time I had seen someone look like me who was just a dude in such a big film. Like he was just a regular guy. He wasn't like pointing the laser sideways or doing any dumb shit like that. He was just a fucking guy. And so I got his Stormtrooper number.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah. And then I got this. Hold up. I got this in Ireland.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of self-explanatory. But it was from this Brazilian guy who didn't speak English. It was at the very end of the trip, and I was like, oh, I forgot I wanted to get a tattoo, and here we are. And then I got these, and this was from when I first started watching anime. You seen Samurai Champloo? Do you anime? You don't anime either?
No.
I need to put you on.
No, it's not gonna work. Like I can save your energy now. Like so many, I've had exes, I've had friends that have tried to get me to anime. It's just not my thing.
What do you watch?
Okay, here we go with stereotyping. Okay. I watch a lot of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Okay.
I watch a lot of I don't know.
Basic.
Yes. It's
all right.
okay. Like I don't know. I don't know. I mean, what do I watch? Honestly, I watch a lot of YouTube. I don't really watch television.
Okay. How old are you?
So RuPaul's Drag Race. I just turned 27.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I was about to try to judge you for your youth, but
No, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone. I'm not young anymore. I can't say it. Everyone, like, I go to comedy shows now, and everyone thinks I'm like 23 or 24, and I'm like, bitch, I'm old. I can't be out here with these kids. Like, so
you have the face of a young man, but the soul of a bitter old hag.
Mm-hmm. I say that all the time. I was like, I feel like I have had at least 2 husbands, and we're going through a rocky divorce with the second one right now, currently. Yeah.
Is it that hardcore?
Yeah, he tried to sign a prenup because I'm the one making the money. So let's not. Okay, that's also something I need to make people know. In this fantasy, I'm the one making the money, and this raggedy bitch is trying to take my money. Because I've already had 2 specials at this point. I think ahead.
I'm seeing you have manifested. Do you have like a vision board?
I used to, but I just don't have the time now, so I just keep it in my head.
Okay,
and I'm also never home enough to like really commit to a vision board. I used to when the pandemic was happening. Well, it's still happening, but like before, everything was, back to normal-ish.
Yeah. You grind, man. You grind.
I try.
You have a lot of shows and shit. How long have you been in Chicago?
I moved here in March 2020.
Ooh, wait.
Yeah, like legit. Yeah, the day that the CDC told Chicago residents that like it was time to like stay inside. That's when like my friend and I got here and putting ourselves into our Airbnb.
Literally day of?
The day of, yeah.
Oh my God.
It was rough.
What was quarantine like for you? Yeah, please regale me.
Okay. So I mean, it was okay. It was no, it wasn't. No, I'm like thinking back to it. Okay. So it was rough. I'm happy that I moved here with my best friend because I don't see how I could have done that alone. Um, it was hard. I was unemployed for 4 or 5 months. And I that part I didn't mind because I liked collecting money from the government and having to do nothing. um, but I didn't have any friends. Couldn't perform. I joined like the Facebook comedy groups and stuff like that, but there were really no shows happening. I did a few online ones, didn't like them, and it just wasn't fun. Went through like some minor depression and stuff, but got through it. And at the time I was dating somebody, and then like that also was just like kind of like not good.
In Chicago?
No, so okay, so
Ooh, okay.
we were long distance. So we had dated like for 2 months before I left, to come here, and then we stopped talking, and like I genuinely was like, okay, well, bitch, if you're ever in Chicago, hit me up. Like we'll talk. Follow me on Instagram, whatever. And then we stopped talking for like 2 weeks. And then he texted me, was like, hey, hope you meet in Chicago, yada, yada, yada. We just kept talking. And then like, we were like, okay, the feelings are still there. Should we just keep dating and see what happens? Because he was already talking about moving to Chicago. So I was like, oh, well then maybe, you could or whatever. And yeah. And so the relationship was like fine, I would say, for probably 6 months. And then after 6 months, it was like, ooh, this is going in a bad direction. And then we broke up last summer, like June time or whatever. And so I think that was when like I was like finally like getting, because I moved into my own apartment. I broken up with that bitch. And I was like feeling it. So I think July 2021 was where I got over the, raggediness. Because then I had only started doing comedy since May 2021 in Chicago.
Okay.
Because I didn't do shit.
Right.
Like all of 2020, really. And so I really just started going into the scene 2021 of May.
2021 of May.
Yeah.
Okay. How did you? Okay, I'm working on myself and trying not to compare.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you ever have that issue where you're like, I
constantly. I do it today. On the train. I'm on the way over here. Like, this bitch is booked. Oh my god, these bitches are booked. Oh my god.
I can't look at Instagram. Like, I look at Instagram and I see all of these flyers and I'm thinking, oh, I'm way behind, and I'm trying to like put the blinders on there, but I'm in this place where I'm like, I know I'm funny. I know I'm good. I'm pretty consistent on stage. I feel myself getting better. Every few months, I feel like, oh, shit, I just leveled up a little bit. And I'm always feeling like, why the fuck am I not getting booked? Why, when I see your hustle or when I see, like, Vic Pondia,
oh yes,
that dude. I don't know. I know he's been here.
He's been here a while. I think he's in comedy. This like season 7 years.
7 years in Chicago.
I think so.
Yeah, he's earned a point where he can do all of that, obviously. But I see that and I'm like, how the fuck are you guys booking this stuff? How? I guess that's not a rhetorical. How the fuck are you booking this stuff?
I don't know. No, I mean. I feel like I feel like you just go to a lot of mics and be nice to people and just talk to everyone and then share social medias and then they reach out to you eventually when they have a show.
I guess
I feel like that's just how it is. Like I feel like there's no like okay, so I also will say I feel like I got like a little bit of a head start with doing comedy in Chicago because I did the comedy internship at the Comedy Bar.
Okay.
So the Comedy Bar, they don't have it going on anymore. I think honestly it's because our class was like the shit and no one could compare.
Oh, is that what it was?
And I heard this to this day. Like I know people that work at the Comedy Bar and they're just like, y'all's class was really the hit class.
So the 95 Bulls.
What is that? Is that a sports reference?
Sports reference.
Okay, I mean, I'm not trying to be stereotypical, but like, I don't watch anime.
Damn.
I don't play video games. I don't watch sports. I don't.
What do you do?
I listen to a lot of podcasts. I read a lot, and I don't. I really don't. I honestly, when I'm home, I don't watch a lot of television. I'm like reading, writing, or like doing or watching YouTube, and like I watch a lot of YouTubers, to be honest.
Can we trade types of entertainment? I want to experience whatever you're experiencing, and I want you to experience anime so bad.
I don't like it.
Oh, God,
like
anyway,
there's like at this point I'm content. I'm in my late 20s. I'm content with what I like, and so
that's okay. That's another place I'm trying to get to. The content with what you like. When you first met me, and when we ran into each other at that Bulba show. You
I'm not gonna say anything about that.
Yeah, we'll have that discussion.
We have, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyways,
Anyways.
you're meeting me like at this point in this whole experience. I feel way more comfortable in myself. I still a long way to go, but like I think sometimes I feel like I'm behind in the whole comfortable in myself and who I am thing. Like you seem very sturdy in who you are for the most part.
For the most part.
For the most part. What led you to that? Was there a point where you started to work on yourself, or have you always just been kind of you?
Yeah, like it's like a little bit of both. I mean, I feel like, we're all works in progress and we all do what we have to do. But I feel like I've always kind of been this, but like I feel like each year it gets more like refined. Like even like the jokes that I did last year, like I look back, I'm just like, that is so not me currently. Like I feel like everyone says this, like, the more you do comedy, like you find your voice as you start to do it. And like I feel like now I feel like I thought I knew what my voice was, but now I'm like, oh, it's completely different. And like I'm going in now like a different path than what I was before. But I think it's just kind of like, I feel like a lot of people forget that like they're so like enwrapped in like just doing comedy that they forget that like you're doing comedy because you want to talk about stuff that interests you, but then people step back and they're like, well, I don't really know what interests me because I don't know like who I am. So like I also just did like a lot of self-discovery. I took a lot of drugs,
mushrooms,
yeah, and weed.
Weed, really?
You don't?
No, I do. California, dog.
No, but I was like, you're like, really? Like, wait, yeah, I smoke a lot of weed.
I've never viewed it as like a self-discovery drug.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's a dull myself drug.
I feel like it can be for both.
Mushrooms are my self-discovery drug for sure.
Yeah.
Is there...
Also, I feel like also going through like a lot of life experiences, like dating that raggedy little bitch that I did last year.
Yeah.
Like dating him opened up my eyes a lot. Moving here in the pandemic made me like think a lot and about myself. So like I had a lot of time. Like I feel like also I've had like low key like a lot of like trauma in life. So I feel like going through trauma helps you realize like who you are and also get content with like what you're doing and stuff.
I agree, but I think it's how you handle the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, I too have experienced a good deal of trauma, but I didn't. Not that I didn't learn. I didn't learn from it. I kept making the same mistakes for a really long time, and now that I'm actively trying to curve those mistakes is when I feel like I've learned from it. But I know what you mean. Like that pressure.
Yeah.
Pressure builds diamonds, whatever they say. When did you come out?
Okay, so there's 2 different times. So I would say the first time was senior year of high school.
Okay.
Yeah. So junior year, okay, there's layers.
Okay.
So the junior year of high school is when I came out to like all my friends and everyone except for my mother. And then senior year was when I came out to everyone. Like my mother found out and everything like that.
Found out or you told her?
Found out.
Ooh.
Okay. So that's actually a funny story.
Okay.
So it was parent. You know how they have like parent teacher comfort night.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were at the school doing parent teacher conference, and I took fashion design in high school. The fact that my mother was shocked when I was the only, like, my fashion teacher told her, this is the only guy that's ever taken this class. Gay. Like, I don't understand how she was shocked. Anyways.
Did you present yourself as masculine around
No!
So like, this has always been you around
I've always been, like, flamboyant and feminine. So, like, that's why, like, I helped her pick out eyeshadows. Like, I don't understand. I don't know.
Okay.
We watched Drag Race together. Like, she would freeze frame and every time they did a close-up of the girls on the runway, and I would be Google searching which shade of MAC eyeshadow they were using. Like,
do you think it was like a denial thing?
Of course.
Okay, fair enough. All right. So you're in parent-teacher conference.
We're in parent-teacher conference. Again, because at this time, senior year, junior year, I had been out with everybody. All my teachers knew. All my friends knew. Everyone knew. So my fashion night teacher, I think she assumed that my mother knew. And so then she was talking with my mom, and she told me this later. She was just like, "Yeah, so like I love Sean as a student. He's like so confident, and I'm like happy that he's out here living his authentic life and yada yada yada." And my mother was like, "What are you talking about? What you mean authentic life? Blah blah blah." She was like, "Yeah, like it's so nice that he's like open about his like sexuality, being gay, and blah blah blah." So she like told her, and
In
then
front of you?
no.
Oh,
So like
okay,
I'm
okay.
gallivanting, being a hood rat with my friends in the hallways, because like I mean I don't know about you, I never sat during with my parents. Did you?
My
I would always go out and hang out with my friends in the hallways and be like, okay, let them do that. Let's go to the classrooms when the teachers aren't there.
Oh, I'll tell you my upbringing after yours. My shit was fucked up. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So yeah, so we were like gallivanting in the hall. So I didn't know this until the next day when I went to school. Cause then I'm back with my mother, and it was like the tensest, most quiet car ride back home, and I didn't know why. Like I just thought I was like, oh, this bitch probably told her I was talking too much in class, or cause I was, and and was like just like I just assumed that like, oh, one of my teachers told her that like I was talking a lot in class and this and that and yada. And then we get home, and then she's like, so you're gay. And then like again, I had come to terms with it for like a year, and I was just like, oh, I guess I forgot. I honestly at first I was like, oh, I guess I did forget to tell her. And so then I was like, yeah. I was like, no. I was like, how'd you know? And then she's like, oh, I was talking to your teacher and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, yeah. And she didn't say anything to me that night, but then we had like an argument the next morning and stuff like that. And she was just like, and I thought, okay, oh, no, okay, wait. So we had like an argument the next day before I went to, she was like, I'm not going to raise no faggot and blah, 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 and this and that, yada. And I was like, well, girl, I got to catch the bus. So I guess get back to this later. Yeah. And I got to school, and then my teacher, I think, knew that in her, which after she had told my mom, like at that night, yeah, and she was like, did your mom know? She's like, she knows now. And then she's like, I'm so sorry. She gave me an A. This is also mid semester. I had it. I passed the class with an A. Did I sew shit? Not a damn thing because of that. But then that night I always got home before she did from work. And so like I get home at like 4:30 or 5. She go home at like 6 or 7, and so then like I'm like doing my homework, yada yada, and then she like calls me downstairs and sits down or whatever, and I'm thinking she's like gonna apologize and is gonna be like, you know what, I said this, but like I love you no matter what, yada yada. She sits me down and says, so I apologize for the way that I came at you, but it's okay, we're gonna fix this phase you're going through. And I was like, this is not, I was like, all right. I was like, well, this isn't really like a phase, so I don't know what there's nothing to fix. And then she was like, we're going to fix it. And I was like, all right. She said, we're going to pray, blah, blah, blah. I was like, all right, girl. So, and then that was that.
What an anticlimactic ending.
I really thought I was upstairs preparing. I was like, we're gonna have I was like, oh, gotta have like, I was in the mirror getting ready. I was like, we're gonna have like a little emotional sit down. She's gonna like love it. And it's gonna be
violin
great.
Playing and everything.
Exactly. And then she was just like, no.
Is she accepted it now?
No.
Really?
I know.
Like she's.
We just don't talk about it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So it's don't ask, don't tell.
It's very that. Like she would just say like the people you're dating, or like she's never says like guys. Keeps it very vague. She's like, are you dating anyone, or right. How are they, or whatever. She did meet one of my boyfriends and who is now like my best friend. So we dated for like 2 years and then broke up and we just stayed friends. No, he's Mexican.
Okay. I feel like she would have been really upset if he was.
No, well, here's the thing. Even after I came out, she was like, you know what? I can see you marrying a white woman. And I was like, oh, it's going to be a handsome woman. Yeah. I don't like, he better be really hot. Like, I don't know. Like,
one of those women that wear flannels.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, no. So like she met him and was just like, his name is Fernando, and like she always purposely would be like, how's Julio? How's Ronaldo? And I was like, bitch, you know his name is Fernando. Like, don't be shady. Like, what? And so he never liked her, and he still doesn't to this day. So
it's so. I guess I'm just surprised, and in the same way that like fuck it, we're talking about it. In the same way that I'm surprised that someone would be like, go back to where you came from. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised that we're still in a place where people are like, I'm at a loss for words because I think I'm just jaded.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess I also okay. I understand what you're saying. I guess I'm also like I'm always okay. I'm like a perpetually curious and like optimistic person. So I see like everyone's point of view, which I think has also helped with comedy because people are like I think that's why people like assume that like I'm very young is because like I have like, the outlook and I have the mentality of someone that hasn't been through a lot of shit. But like I'm just like a naturally optimistic person.
Oh, I'm jaded.
Which is I think which is weird that like
Yeah.
people assume like being jaded to being older. Because I know some cunty little teenagers.
That's fair.
Like,
That's fair.
I'm just saying.
You just bubbly. You have a youthful energy about you.
Thanks.
But it's I think okay, so I think part of it is like my upbringing is it sounds like you had some freedom where I didn't have any freedom. Like there was always someone home. So like I lived with my mom and my grandparents for a while, so like there was always someone home. I never had time to myself to process anything. So I didn't really start processing stuff I until after college. And so I think that's why I feel so late to the game. But regardless, she's probably not gonna listen to this either, huh?
No, I mean she knows I do comedy because my sister followed me on Instagram and she found my Instagram through my sister, and she was just like, "Oh, you do comedy? Why don't you tell me?" I was like, "Why would I?"
Are you like not close with her?
No.
Okay.
No, we speak every now and then, but like we're not really cool. She knows I'm in Chicago. Like we speak when like I guess if there are like big major things happening, but like we're not really like cool. Like she doesn't really know anything that's going on in my life. She only knows that I do comedy and that I live in Chicago because my sister told her and my brother told her because I talk to my brother, but I don't talk to anybody else. And so she knows that like I'm in Chicago because of that.
If you were straight, do you think you'd have this issue with her?
Probably not. No, I really think it was like the gay thing because like that tipped the scale as to like us our relationship kind of like going downward because when I came out as gay, that's also when I came out as like a creative person, someone that didn't originally want to go to college, someone that wanted like an artistic lifestyle, and she also didn't like that either. So it was like he's gay, he's creative, he doesn't want to live in Maryland because thank you so much. We are fun.
Yes.
And so yeah, like I was like I want to move out of here. I want to go to New York because like also like I mean I feel like I don't know. I mean Riverside isn't like a small town. But like I don't know if this was and you can tell me. But like I feel like is it the same where it's like people that are just like are in Riverside they just don't want to leave?
Yeah.
Okay.
Riverside gives the illusion of a big city, where it's the Inland Empire. So there's the Inland Empire, and that is technically one of the biggest cities in the country, but it's a desert, so it's big and it's spread out, and you have these little pockets of like mini cities, and it can give you this feeling like, well, I'm in a city, like I'm in a big place, and it's a black hole, man. It sucks you in, and it's so hard to get out. Like I'm. If it wasn't for the pandemic, I wouldn't be here right now for sure. It completely warped my perception of what my life should be or what it could be, and I think this is the other thing about the weather in California is it fucks with your sense of time. When every day is sunny and no clouds, every day years can go by and it feels like an instant. Whereas out here, because you can feel like, okay, we're going into winter, and now I'm dressing like I'm in winter. I see like the outside looks different. Now we're going into spring, which is beautiful, by the way.
I mean,
oh no, you sassy bitch! What?
This spring is trash.
What? This is my first spring. What's wrong with the spring?
It's barely spring. It's 50 degrees and cloudy.
Yeah, it's fine. It's different. Oh, fuck you. Let me enjoy my spring. Let me enjoy
my first
spring.
Oh yeah, this is your first spring. Spring last year in Chicago was not this way, so I guess I'm just jaded. Maybe I'm just jaded because of that. I'm like
I'm excited for my real summer in Chicago.
Chicago's really nice. I mean, the summer in Chicago is really nice, so you'll enjoy it.
And so like where I'm from, it is. Every time I'm on my podcast, I'm talking about how much I fucking hate Riverside, but I can't help it, man. I fucking hate it. I just hate Riverside, and it is what it is. So yeah, I'm happy to be out here.
That's good.
Thank you.
Of course.
Do you?
But I feel that way about like Maryland. Like
Yeah.
and that's like my family. They all stay. Well, except for my brother, but he really only moved because of his wife. Because she's like the breadwinner. Like she was like the one who was like, I want to get out of Maryland, so you're following me. And then my like brother is like such a fucking dope. Like I love him. He's such a dope. Like he's like a big 6'7" dope. So he was like, sure, okay. Like he just followed. He's so like, he's like a big fucking dope. So of course she was like, well, we're moving out of here and we're going to California and we're gonna have a family. And he was like, all right.
He sounds like he gives good hugs.
He is like he's like a very big guy, and so he like I remember when I came out. And my mom found out and everything, and so like, cause my brother's like the complete opposite of me. He's like the deepest voice. He's like literally like 6'5" or 6'7", like big guy. And I remember me and my mom were at walking around Lowe's or Home Depot or something like that. It was after I started. It was like winter break of freshman year of college.
Okay.
And I was walking around, and I remember he called me out of nowhere, and was like. I was like, hey, Rock. Well, his name is Wayne, but we call him like Rock. That's like his nickname. Mm-hmm. That's like a whole nother story. But like, I also call him Rock because, again, he's like a fucking dope.
He's not gonna listen to this, is he?
Oh no, he doesn't. I don't even know if
he knows how to use the internet yet.
No, well, he works in cybersecurity, so he's very technology savvy. But like, he doesn't listen to podcasts.
Okay.
And so here I remember him calling, and he was like, hey, Shawn, how are you? And I was like, I'm good. How's it going? How's everything with Danielle, his wife? Yeah. And it's like, she's good. Like dead air. He's very like just straight to the point. He was like, so mom told me you were gay. And I was like, I was like, yeah. And he was like, I was like, did you know? And he was like, I always knew. I just wanted you to tell me. And I was like, but that's him being sweet and vulnerable. I was like, oh my God. Yeah. And he was like, so how'd she take it? And then I was like, she didn't take it well. We had a big argument. We're still not really talking about it now. And then he was like, she'll come around to it. And I was like, I hope so. And then it was like, so you dating anybody? And I was like, nope, I'm still single. Haven't found anybody. He's like, okay. Well, I'll see you later. I'll talk to you later. and that's it. Like that's how it was. Now and then I got the phone. I was like, see, that's all I needed. Like he didn't ask any questions. He was like, okay, just let me know if there's any updates.
That is the perfect. To me, that is probably the ideal reaction. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like it's. Yeah, I mean the I don't want to like completely beat a dead horse about it, but it's. I guess in the same way for me being black and being around white people has molded my perception of reality. I'd imagine that being gay and black and being around people that don't fuck with either of those things it affects things. But do you have like, so in comedy, to go back to comedy, do you have inspirations? Anybody that you're like trying to emulate, want to be like, want to achieve to? Aspire?
Yeah, a few people. I mean, I feel like my favorite comedian and like my favorite person in general is Wanda Sykes.
Okay.
Like, she is kind of like what I think if I had like a comedy idol, it would probably be singularly her, because I like her comedy style. I like her jokes. I like her stage presence. I like how she's yes.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I remember like the first thing I saw was Queens of Comedy, like with Monique and Samore and like Linnell and like all of them, and so that like Monique is one of my favorites as well. And so I probably, and Wanda Sykes, because of her comedy, but also like her trajectory in her career, like she's also gone into acting, she's produced her own movies, she's like produced shows, like that's also what I want to do with comedy. Like I don't just want to be a stand-up comedian. So like her trajectory is what I admire. But yeah, I would say those, because there also weren't like a lot of like, then also still aren't like a lot of like famous gay comedians. I mean, honestly, I do this every way. Name one, like a famous, like arguably well-known gay male comedian.
Gerard Carmichael doesn't count, does he?
No.
Damn it. All right, because he just came out too.
Yeah. I mean, like, has been out and working in like for years. I only know one, and he's not that famous.
Who?
Mateo Lane.
Yeah.
Period. Like he is not on the level of like of a Chris Rock, of a Eddie Murphy, of a fucking Amy Schumer, like who.
Ooh, let's hear about it.
I don't think she's that funny, and she's known for stealing jokes. She even stole some of the jokes she said at the Oscars.
Really?
Yeah, and it was like.
We talk about anything else at the Oscars?
Huh?
We can talk about other shit that happened at the Oscars because I didn't know anything else happened at the Oscars.
Oh wow, I know, right?
I figured just
I mean,
that one moment happened, and
that's all that people will remember at this point.
Yeah,
that and then the reactions.
Yeah, I know we've talked it to death, but I am curious your opinion of all of that.
Okay.
I know.
And I got interview for it too, so I'm just like, oh god, okay. So I agree with how do I like condense it? Because I don't. Okay.
It doesn't need to be. Yeah, we don't need to make the whole rest of the podcast.
I understand both sides of the coin. I just felt like from a comic side, the joke wasn't funny. It felt like also G.I. Jane was like a strong was an old reference. I felt like if he was gonna make a ball joke, he could have said anything else besides G.I. Jane. So I just think it was a tacky joke. I don't think it was that funny. I think it was unnecessary. Do I think Will should have smacked him on stage? No, he should have smacked him at the after party. That's what the after party is for, because you deal with the mess from the actual ceremony. You don't smack somebody when they're like on stage, like. Right. So I don't think it was necessary. I feel like he would have had the same impact if he had just yelled from his seat, came out with "Why sing about your fucking mouth?" I also do understand, so I understand both sides of the coin. I don't think he should have said the joke because also relating to like a black woman, she just was diagnosed with alopecia, so even she was still kind of like dealing with those feelings. So it was like, why would you bring that up? It also just felt like Chris, like Jada's not nominated for nothing. Why are you coming for her? Like it was very like out of nowhere. So I feel like both parties made bad decisions.
Okay.
The joke wasn't funny. Will Smith didn't have to smack him like that. Like whatever.
And now that you've spoken upon it, it can never be spoken again.
But you know it's going to be talked about for every comic in Chicago, New York, L.A., Austin was grabbing their notepads and writing. They were like, nope. I heard recent shit now, like comics making. I had a show. No, not a show, but like hosting bingo, like the next day or two, because that was a Sunday and I was hosting bingo on Tuesday. I swear I was seeing TikToks and clips of people at shows make chicken adjustments. Like this is what's going to be like for the next at least month.
Okay, can I say something on this? Is I'm happy that it has done that. Let me explain. Our attention span is so minute that it's hard to like. I always use murder hornets as an example. Like, you remember when murder hornets were a thing?
Yeah, shortly.
Exactly. Like, that's crazy to me that murder hornets were a short thing. Yeah. Like, the world is so fucked up. So many things happen so often that we all collectively can't latch on to anything. And so, to me, at least there's a unifying focus.
Yeah.
And I know that people were like, we're going to talk about this for a whole month. But it's like, if this was 1992, we'd talk about this for multiple years. Like, it would never be dropped. And so if I'm to try to make a positive spin, it's that, well, at least our attention spans aren't completely broken. Mm-hmm. Something that crazy. I have Chris Rock on right now.
I noticed.
Yeah. He was my first comedian that I watched.
Is that like your comedy idol, you'd say? Or?
No, he used to be. You know when you start comedy and the people that you look up to are the people you end up emulating? For a long time.
No, I did that too,
Yeah. But then I got past that point, and now apparently this is considered controversial, but it's like, well, Bill Burr's one, and then it's Dave Chappelle. And I know. Ooh.
I mean, I don't have any feelings towards Dave Chappelle. I mean, he. What you can say is he's carved a lane for himself, and he's doing it.
It's tough for me because this guy is so inspirational to me, so important to me, but I'm also I'm around the LGBTQ community. And I don't say anything. Anytime people start popping off about him, I'm like, let me just let you talk about it.
Yeah.
I think what frustrates me about all of that is that as a black man, I don't think it's ultimately about trans people. I think it's about white people.
Mm-hmm.
It's about white people and freedom of speech to me. And the ability, even if what you're saying is fucked up, the ability to say it, especially as a comic. And I get really annoyed when white people specifically start talking shit about it because it's like you haven't been watching what is the reference? The one that I always bring up is that he talks about how it was easier for Caitlyn Jenner to change her name than it was for Cassius Clay.
Yeah,
Muhammad Ali. It like that's so important to me, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know what your interaction is with the trans community in comedy. I actually hear that there's some issues there in the gay community or the LGBTQ community. That there's some guys got some infighting going on.
Okay, well, yes, because so I have a few friends who are trans, and so let's dissect this.
Okay, let's do it.
So with the whole like with Dave Chappelle, I didn't necessarily have like a problem with what he was saying because, like, to be honest, he was making some valid points. He had this whole analogy about like the car being like LGBTQ and like the trans are in the back, and they're like, "Oh, y'all still here," and stuff like that. And he is right. Like a lot of gay men are not only racist, but they're also misogynistic. Like that's why I don't necessarily like, or I don't like the stereotype of like gay men don't like pussy. Or like disgusted when someone brings up a vagina. Like, I don't dislike vaginas because I'm gay. Because I also feel like that puts down women, being like, vaginas are disgusting. I'm like, they're not disgusting. I don't particularly like them for my life, but they're great for whoever else.
Have you ever touched a vagina?
Yeah, but like
you were like, nah, not.
I mean, yeah, no, it's not for me.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I've touched, seen, whatever. No. Okay. No. It was a graze. It was a drive-by.
Oh, okay.
In high school. And it was like, no. I was like, we're good. We're good.
Around a little too much.
I needed something else to flop around. I was like, this feels like it's missing something, and it was a penis.
That's
so.
right. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
But you were saying.
But yeah, and so a lot of like gay men are misogynistic in the sense where it's like they don't respect trans people as however they identify. Like if they're a trans man, if they want to identify as a man, there's always like a problem. Or if you're a trans woman, if you identify as a woman, there's always like a problem with that. And I feel like it's easier for trans men because like masculinity, I feel like, is more highlighted than femininity, especially in the gay community. Like in the gay community, if you're masculine and you're like present as straight, you are golden in the clear.
Wait, I gotta. Can we rewind? So you trans? Because
and then also speaking with the Dave Chappelle thing, I think this is like the stuff that like Dave Chappelle did not do. He didn't like talk to anyone about it. It was very much just like he was just giving his outsider point of view on something that he kind of knew about, but didn't know a lot about. So then it felt like there were other people that maybe have some like internalized transphobia. It felt like it gave them the right to be like, yeah, I don't get the trans either and stuff. And so I think that was the problem. It felt like he was like, he knew enough, but not enough to make a whole special about it.
I can
which was dangerous for the trans community because it felt like anyone now can talk about it and have their own opinion about it. So yes.
It's such a tough, it's so complicated because, okay, so for me, let's talk about my sexuality. Okay. Can we maybe we can make something about me?
Go ahead.
So I'm attracted to bitches in general, my nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, continue.
No, I'm attracted to women. I'm really working on myself in that. I'll get into that in a second. But attracted to women, trans women, and then women that are like flannel women. You know what I'm saying?
So like bush presenting women?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, or like androgynous women.
Okay.
My line is like dudes. I'm like, I just can't. There's something. I don't know. No offense, bro.
Oh my God, you don't have to say no. You don't have to say no offense. Like if you don't like men, like I'm not saying like sorry guys, I don't like women. Like know.
I'm just fucking around.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
But that seems to be my line. That's where my spectrum is, and it's tough because I don't want to be the equivalent of like a white woman that really likes to fuck black dudes but doesn't have any respect for black dudes. So I don't want to be that, but at the same time I can't help but get this this feeling, this off feeling about specifically white people in this space. Like I'm having a tough time articulating this. Can you ask me a specific question? Because this is such a big.
So, okay. Do you feel like you get judged more when you say that to people, and people see you as like less than of a man when you say like you date like all types of women, even if they're trans?
By the black community.
Okay.
White people don't give a fuck
Okay.
at all, to
Mm-hmm.
be honest with you. Black community, I'm still trying to figure out how to word that on stage in the South Side without it being an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. So there's that, and that is disrespectful to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's disrespectful, and it's like, I guess I don't understand why anyone gives a shit. You know?
I mean, that I agree. I don't understand.
I think at the end of the day, that is what it comes to, where I'm like, why do you care when someone wants to transition? Whatever, it's not your fucking business.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is getting to the point of what irritates me about white people, is that there's this fucking urge to be like, well, let me just get in part of, let me move this around here, and then you can go, but you can talk to this person, but you has to be in this situation. It's like, why the fuck are you getting into people's business? It's making me think about last night.
Well, I think it's because like white people don't have any oppression of their own, so I feel like they don't understand why people want to fight for oppression that they can't feel. Like, because like white people aren't. There's nothing wrong with being white in America, but there's something wrong with being black. There's something wrong with being gay. There's something wrong with being trans. There's something wrong with being like, yeah. If you're
So
not
many
like,
things.
yeah, there's so many things if you're not just like a well-off white person.
Right.
So I feel like they don't understand why people want to be different and want to be respected as different, because they're the standard.
It's a lack of empathy.
Yeah.
And this is gonna be fucked up, but I've gotten to a place where when I first meet a white person, I told Rachel about this, and she was like, "God damn, Aaron!" But when I first meet a white person, I've gotten to the point where I don't view them as human until they earn human status.
Okay.
Let's talk this through, man.
And, I mean, I just want to hear the explanation.
there is I think kind of what makes people human is empathy, in that there's this thing about, like, you know, being able to see somebody and they aren't exactly you, but you know they're human, and so you can connect.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, like, white people, they have this thing where they can't connect with us. They don't view anybody else as people but themselves, and that is so inhuman to me, that they've treated me so poorly and violently throughout my whole life. It's not a healthy view, and I know it's not healthy for me to view white people this way. But I genuinely, like, for my own survival at this point, you're not a human until you prove to me you're a human. As far as I'm concerned, it is what it is.
I know. I mean, I don't blame you. I mean, I understand that aspect of it. Like, I, as someone that has been around white people a lot in my life. Yeah, they're very like they just, if you're not white, it's almost like you are like so crazy to them.
Yeah.
Or it's like oh my god, or they get so like nervous about. They get so nervous around, like, yeah, I don't know. There's also like that aspect of like, you feel like we have to like understand how to work around all white spaces, but like white people don't really have to, unless they physically put themselves in a situation. They never really have to be in a space that's predominantly not white.
That is what I think. That's what, dude. I'm gonna play my set for you after this. So I get on stage last night after the debacle, and I said, I started off my joke with that I haven't been here in a while, and I've been in the South Side. And then this little white girl says, "South Side," and then everybody is cracking up, which is fine. And then another comic makes fun of her and says, like, you're wearing a Cubs hat. And then everyone's laughing some more, and the uproar subsides.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, so this is my first time being back here. I was sitting at the bar, and I was told I should go back to where I came from. And the air got sucked out of the room. That girl, I looked at her, and you could feel her being like, "Oh my, I fucked up. I made a mistake." And I was riffing on race and just this, and I kept saying, like, this keeps happening to me. And I was looking at these three particular girls, mostly because they were the audience. The rest of them were comics.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see in their eyes, they were like, how could this happen? And it's like, because you, like you were just saying, you never have to be uncomfortable ever. Like, you never have to go to a place that makes you uncomfortable. You never have to put yourself around somebody that looks different from you. And they're in this fucking bubble that allows them to just be so disconnected from everyone else's pain. And I think that is what infuriates. It's like her yelling out Southside. I know she was joking. I know we're in a comedy context, but it's like you've just summarized what you perceive as black people. That moment.
Yeah.
You've never been to the South Side. You never been to a fucking Sox game? Like, not to say I have, but like I just been.
I haven't either.
But like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I'm the only black person in the room, and you felt real comfortable doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And it irks me. Go. What were you gonna say? Because I'm about to get angry.
Oh no! I mean, I was just like, yeah, I was like, I get it, we're at a comedy show, but like, I mean, you're supposed to say things that are like funny. So like, I think like just because you're at a comedy show, if you get on a mic, that doesn't automatically make it funny. Or if you say it out loud, I think that's what sometimes people, especially audience members, don't understand. Like, they just assume you. Well, I think also a lot of people think that like we're making up that shit on the spot. Like, so they're like, if I yell something, then it'll be funny too.
Right.
And I'm like, this is like, sometimes I still get to this to the day. They're just like, so did you just write that? I was like, bitch, this is like a year old. Some of them are like a year old, like some months old. Like, no one ever gets into a comedy show and straight open mic, and just is like, well, I'm just gonna go off the riff, and now it's another like. So I think sometimes people get that way, but also her white ignorance as well, to be like, he's black, he'll get it. It's very like white, ignorant, stereotypical, like you're pandering to the stereotypes.
Yeah.
But like, please don't call her white trash. Oh my God, or make a joke about white trash, because then, you know, especially a white woman, the cheers. So,
dude, did you see the TikTok? You don't TikTok, dude?
No, I do. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you watch things.
I went viral.
Dude, good for you. I want to see that video. I'm gonna find you on TikTok later. But
Thanks.
there's this trend for a little bit that they stopped immediately. The white woman hide your tears trend. Have you seen that?
I didn't see that.
Oh, it's disturbing. So it starts off with like sad music, and it's just a white woman's face crying, and then the music changes, and then she stops crying, and then she looks sinister, and they think like, look at how good of an actor I am. But to me, I'm like, oh, bitch, this is what got what's his so many black men, but you know, I know
because it's like, because I'm thinking about something, but like, it doesn't have to do with like a white woman crying. It has to do with a white woman in peril. There was this woman in the park. This happened in New York last year.
Oh,
there
the
was,
dog.
Yeah, the dog.
Yeah.
And she started like crying, not crying, but like oh my God, I'm scared. And it's like, he's just a black man in the park.
Yeah, and he's standing far as fuck.
Right. And he's even saying like, I'm not doing anything to you. You are behaving this way. You're recording this, and then
it's trippy because they know. I think that's the thing. And this is going back to the inhuman thing. That's not human to me. That's not being a person to know, to be able to know that you are weaponizing calling the police on a person, knowing that like, okay, good, this might get him shot. Like this, whether she means it consciously or subconsciously, somewhere she knows that like, if she does this is the potential repercussion. And it's just like, I'm especially angry because of last night, but it's just like, I can't wrap my mind around it. Like, it's really hard to understand their perspective at this point, because to me, they've behaved so reprehensibly for so long. I'm out of patience. Jaded.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to end this podcast on a sad note.
Well, yeah. I mean, either way, I mean, I feel like, again, I go in with like an optimistic standpoint. I feel like, you know, you just have to like, well, I've learned to just kind of like brush it off, because at the end of the day, like, I just say this, I'm just like, white people just want to be black secretly. Like that's all I say all the time. I'm like, why people just want to be black? Because like that's why they steal our music, they steal our hairstyles, they steal our TikTok dances. That's kind of one of the reasons why I did not get on TikTok, because I was like, I'm not trying to see a white girl dance to like Waka Flocka and then in her little Lululemon leggings. Like I'm not trying to say that because that's gonna make me irritated immediately.
Yeah.
But then I made it to where like I see what I want to see.
Your own algorithm.
My own algorithm and stuff like that. And so I was like, why people just really want to be black? Like that's why there's blackface. That's why there's like the whole like the thing where like the blackfishing where they would like tan themselves to look like how white girls would like tan themselves to look like Middle Eastern or like whatever race that's not Wisconsin or something like something like that. I'm like, they just secretly want to be black. And they secretly want to be fun because like black people are fun.
Yeah, we're a lot
so
of fun.
Yeah.
Did you watch Atlanta?
No, okay. So like I need to start watching it.
Okay. Can I know you were like,
no, that's something that I want to watch. Like I'm not against it. I just need to make the time to watch it.
Can I sit down with you and watch it? I own it on DVD. I'm serious, man. I
don't have a DVD player.
Oh, ugh.
It's 2022.
I got where's my DVD collection?
Oh
I
my
gosh!
gosh.
I got a whole DVD collection. I got a Blu-ray player because when the grid goes down, bro. When the grid goes down, I'm gonna be the one they come to. Okay, I'm gonna be the red box of society.
Who uses a red box?
When the grid goes down.
What grid? Okay, now you're sounding like them incels on TikTok. Now you're sounding like those like what? Like no.
Because the government and lizard people. I'm so glad you did this podcast with me.
Thank you for having me.
So yeah, well, I guess that's the end.
Yeah. Do I plug anything or?
Oh, if you want.
I don't know. I feel like okay, whatever. Well, follow me on Instagram, Banksy, 2 Z's, 3 Y's. That's what I say all the time on stage. So
you did that so sultry. Banksy's 2 Z's, 3 Y's.
Yeah, it's like an easy way to say it. I had to work really hard to get the name Banksy on Instagram. So like I just want to let people know. So
they know now.
Thank you.
All 15 of them.
Oh my God.
Yeah.